In this video, I discuss step 4 of setting up your Windows virtual machine using Amazon Web Services. Step 4 is provisioning the computer with the software that you want to use. And in our case, the primary software that we're trying to install is Python and the R statistical language. Now, I left you at the end of the video for step 3 logged into your Windows instance using remote desktop services. And if you're already logged in, you can just go ahead and stay logged in. If you aren't, then I'm going to show you how to log in once again. The window that I have on top here is the Windows Explorer window for the folder instance data, where we had saved the information relating to this instance. And so to log into this instance, what I do is simply double-click on the RDP file that provides information to remote desktop services. So let me just go ahead and double-click on that. And I'll be prompted for a security alert as to whether I want to connect to this because the publisher can't be identified. And I'm going to go ahead now and check this box that says don't ask me again for connections to that computer, so I don't get this constantly, but just go ahead and click on connect. And now I need the password for the administrator account. Well, that password I saved in the Excel file that I put in the folder instance data. So I'm going to go ahead and open that Excel file. And this is where I'm going to record information about all of the instances that I create. At this point, we've only created one instance, instance number 1, and I saved the password. So I'm going to go ahead and select that cell, use Control-C to copy that password. I'm then going to pull forward the remote desktop services program. And then I'm going to use Control-V to paste the password into the dialog and click OK. Now I get another security alert which is asking me about the certificate of the connection. And again, I think you're safe if you just go ahead and check don't ask me again for connections to that computer and click yes. Now, please understand that what I just did will not work unless you have left the instance that we created running. You can disconnect from it, but as long as you haven't stopped it, then this is going to work just fine. And you can see that I have connected now to the desktop for the Windows server. Now, if I hit the Windows button, I'll flip to the Start page, and you can see that I have Internet Explorer on this page, and I'm going to want to go ahead and run this. Now, the warning that's just come up explains that in general on servers you should not browse the internet. In browsing the internet on servers, there's just too much risk that you're going to infect the computer. And if this is really a computer that's serving a lot of other computers, then there's a risk that you'll infect everything that you serve. As a result, Internet Explorer is set to a very, very high level of security, and it is set up so that it is extremely difficult to change that. And this, quite frankly, will drive you crazy if you try to use Internet Explorer to go out and get software, which is what we're going to be doing. So what we're going to do first is download another browser, in particular Firefox, so that we don't have to fight constantly with Explorer's security settings. Now, I have created a page on a website that I own that has all of the links to the software that we want to use to provision this computer. So the very first thing we're going to do is connect to that website and the page where these links are. So the website's name is datasciencesource.com, and the page name rather is Windows Instance Provisioning. So we're going to Data Science Source Windows Instance Provisioning. Now what you'll see is we immediately start getting the security alerts from Internet Explorer, and we need to just work through these until we're able to get Firefox loaded so we're not pestered by them any further. So what we're going to do now is go and add Data Science Source as a trusted website. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add, and then I'll add it again. So I'll click Add again right here, and now I can go ahead and click Close, and I'll need to do the same thing. This is Google Analytics. This website tracks visitors using Google Analytics. So we can go ahead and add the Google Analytics site as well. And you can see that we have now actually reached the page where we can find the links for provisioning this Windows instance. So now that we've gotten to the page on datasciencesource.com that has all of the links that we need, the very first thing we need to do is install Firefox. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the link here under the Firefox browser section, and I'm going to go ahead with this security alert to click OK. And it now warns me that I'm attempting to download a file from a site that's not trusted, so I'm going to go ahead and add the site, and then add it again and click Close. And the way this works, unfortunately, I believe that I need to go ahead and click on it again. And now I get a dialog that pops up at the very bottom that asks me what I want to do with this file. So I can go ahead and save it. It's now downloaded, so what I want to do is go ahead and run it. And then I get the Firefox installation dialog, and I'm just going to go ahead and click Install. And I'm going to go ahead, since we really haven't done anything on this computer with Internet Explorer, I'm going to go ahead and click Don't Import Anything in this Import Wizard dialog that comes up. I am going to go ahead and set Firefox as the default browser, so I'm going to go ahead and click Yes. And I want it to open HTTP links with Firefox. I don't need a quick tour, so I'm going to go ahead and click the X. And I'm going to make the Firefox browser now large. So I have Internet Explorer running down here, and I can go ahead and kill it. And now we can use Firefox, and we won't have to go through all of those security dialogues. But to proceed with the rest of the installation, I need to go back to the page that has all of the links on Data Science Source. So I will double click in this menu bar. See if I can't select everything. It's not going to let me do it, so I'm going to select everything manually. And then the name of the page that we were looking for is datasciencesource.com. That's the website, and the page is called Windows Instance Provisioning. And incidentally, the case of the letters here in Windows Instance Provisioning is important. Okay, so now I'm back to the Data Science Source page, and I am ready to begin installing some of the rest of the software. Now, the very first thing I need to do is to install antivirus software on the instance. It seems quite unbelievable to me, but these instances are created with no antivirus software on them whatsoever. And it turns out that finding antivirus software that runs on these Windows servers operating system is quite difficult. There are dozens of free antivirus software programs out there, but when you try to install them on Windows Server, they detect that it's a server it's being installed on, and they refuse to be installed. However, this particular one, Cygwin, is open source and free and does in fact install on Windows Server. So we're going to go ahead and install that. So I'll go ahead and click on that link. Now you'll notice here it says my download will start, and it's doing a countdown, so it just ended the countdown. It's ready to save it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And you'll notice that the downloads are now shown by this little arrow that's in the upper right hand corner of Firefox. So the Cygwin setup program has now installed already. I can click on that arrow to show the file, and I can now go ahead and click on it to run it. So I'm going to go ahead and click Run, and then I get the installation wizard, so I'm going to go ahead and click Next. I'm going to agree to the license. I'm going to let this program be used for anyone who uses the computer. The default directory is fine. I can let it go ahead and be integrated with Windows Explorer, and this is fine as well. And I do definitely want to download the virus database files. So now I can go ahead and complete the installation. Now it turns out that Cygwin is a virus scanning program, but it does not do real-time scanning when you open and close files or when you download them and so on. So we're going to actually need a different program called Cygwin Sentinel in order to make Cygwin have this real-time functionality that we're used to with antivirus software. So once the installation is done, I'm going to go ahead and move on to installing Cygwin Sentinel. Okay, the installation of Cygwin is basically finished, so let me click the Finish button. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to the links for provisioning, and I'm going to move down to the Cygwin Sentinel part and go ahead and click on that. And again, it's going to tell me that my download will start in a certain number of seconds, so I'm just going to go ahead and wait patiently. And then I can tell it to go ahead and save the file, and I get a signal here that it's downloading, so I think it's actually completed. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this arrow, and I'll see the downloads, and Cygwin Sentinel is now there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Cygwin Sentinel, run the installer, set the language to English, and start going through the installer. So next, I accept the agreement. I do want to start Cygwin Sentinel automatically for all users because I want this program to be running basically anytime this computer is running. So I'll go ahead and check that box. I can accept the defaults. I don't really need a desktop icon or a quick launch icon because Cygwin Sentinel should be running all the time, so I can go ahead and leave those unchecked, and then I can finish the installation. So now that I've installed Cygwin Sentinel, I need to move on to the next thing to install, which is one of the most important things, and that's Anaconda Python. Anaconda Python includes all kinds of modules and extensions, including a so-called IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment, which is an editor together with a debugger and so on. And it's all free, and I think it's an extremely good way to go for this course. So we're going to go ahead and use that. I should tell you that there are two main versions of Python that are currently being used. One is 2.7, which in a way is an older version, but it's also very stable. And there's a new version which is being created called Python 3. I think it's 3.1 at this point, but it doesn't matter. The problem is I've experimented with these things fairly extensively, and Python 3 is simply not stable enough at present, nor complete enough for use in this course. So we're going to go ahead and download Anaconda Python. So you'll notice again here that the installer is telling us, or rather the download dialog here is telling us that we have about 30 seconds left. And if I click on that, you'll see that the installer for Anaconda Python is coming down. It's 344 megabytes, so it does take it a few seconds to come down. You'll tend to find that the internet download speeds onto your Windows instance at Amazon are much, much faster than they are certainly to my own personal PC. So some of these files come really fast. And so now I can run the installer for Anaconda Python. I do want to go ahead and run the program. I can go ahead and click Next. I'm going to agree to the license. I'm going to go ahead and install it for all users. The default folder is probably what you should use. I want to leave all of these options the way they are. And so now the files are going to download, which may take a little bit of time here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and cut out the wait time while the program continues to download. So we now see that the installation has completed, and I'm going to go ahead and click Next and then finally Finish. And Anaconda Python is now installed. The next thing that I need to install is the statistics package that we'll be using, which is the R statistical language. So I'll go ahead down to that link and go ahead and click on that and do Save File again, and we'll see the signal that it's downloading. I think it's downloaded already. So if I click on this arrow, I'll see the installer. Go ahead and run that. And use English. Next. Agree to the license. Accept the default folders and also the installation. We're going to go ahead and accept the default startup options and accept the default shortcut name, and all of those defaults are just fine, and we'll wait for all the files to download. Finally click Finish. So R is now installed. Now R does not come with a development environment as is included in Anaconda Python. So we need to download a separate environment for R, and that's called RStudio, and that's the next link. So go ahead and click on that link and then save the file, and you'll see it's downloading again. And the installer is already downloaded, so I'll go ahead and click on that and run the program. Next. Accept the defaults. Go ahead and install. And then go ahead and click Finish. And RStudio is now installed on the computer. So we're now ready to install the very last piece of software, which is called Cygwin. And what it is it's a collection of Linux-like tools. Linux is another operating system, but for Windows. And these tools include a variety of programs that just make life much more convenient. So we're going to go ahead and install this. And this setup is a little bit more complicated than the others that we've done. But go ahead and click on that. Save the file. The setup program has already downloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the downloads and click on the setup, and then click Run, and Next, and Install from the Internet. We can accept the default folders again. I have a direct connection. I should select a mirror site that's close to me, but they've really given us no information about that, so I'm just going to go ahead and select the first one. And the software will now download. Okay, now here comes the tricky part. There is a package that I want to install, which I believe is called C here. So I'm going to go ahead and do C here. And if I put that in the search box up here, it's going to show me all of the packages that that's a part of. So I'm going to go ahead and open up shells. And just take a look here. I guess it doesn't matter which one. I'm going to go ahead and take this and change the skip by clicking on it to the version number. Okay, and so now I can go ahead and click Next. And then Next again. And then wait for the installation to occur. So you can go ahead and pause this video right now, and I will cut out the installation part and then resume when it's finished. Okay, so the installation has finally finished, and I can go ahead and let it create a icon on the desktop and one in the Start menu. So let's just go ahead and click Finish. And I've now installed the Cygwin software. So there are a couple more things I need to do to wrap up. The first is to actually install the C here package in Cygwin. So to do that, what I can do is just minimize Firefox, and I'll get the black desktop screen. And you'll see that over on the left-hand side there is a connection, or rather an icon that says Cygwin64 terminal. I can go ahead and click on that. And I get a prompt here, and we'll be learning about this later, but what I want to do is type C here -I. And I want to check that this worked. So to do that, I'm going to click on the folder icon down here and change into Documents. And now if I put my cursor in the white space and right click, I should see a menu item that says the bash prompt here, or bash prompt there. If I see that, then I have successfully installed the C here part of the Cygwin package, rather. Now I might go ahead and look around and see if other things seem to have installed. So if I go ahead and hit the Windows key, I'm going to come back to the Start page. I can click the down arrow at the bottom and see the apps that are installed. And so in particular, if I go over here, you're going to see that there's a whole section of stuff that's been installed for Anaconda. There is stuff installed for Clam Sentinel and Cygwin antivirus. There's the Cygwin stuff installed. there's stuff installed for R, and then stuff installed for RStudio. So it looks like, without actually testing these programs, which we'll do later, that pretty much everything has installed. So this now completes the series on installing all of the software that you need onto the Windows instance. I guess the final thing I should say is that I can log out in a variety of ways. For one thing, I can just take this little bar at the top, which is the tab from the remote desktop, and I can just click X and that'll disconnect me. Or if I want to, I can go back to the start page and then just click on the power switch here and say disconnect. I don't want to shut down, because if I shut down, that's going to disconnect this particular instance from the IP address that I've been using to connect, and that's going to be a little bit inconvenient. I'll also tell you that during your free period you get 750 hours per month of free time on a T2 micro instance. And if you do the calculation, 750 divided by 24 is going to be 31.25 days. So you can in fact run this micro instance full time and not suffer any consequences in terms of having to pay for it during your free period. So I'm just going to go ahead and click disconnect, and that will shut down the Windows remote desktop, leaving me looking at the folder where I had the instance data on my notebook computer. So this completes the video on installing or creating an Amazon Web Services Windows instance and provisioning it for doing data science with Python and R.